Over the past 2 decades, I've had the privilege of working alongside patients, caregivers, researchers, clinicians, and advocates through the CERN community. People who continue to show extraordinary resilience, courage, and determination in the face of uncertainty. For me, the Ependymoma community has never just been about a diagnosis. It's always been about the people. I've seen the community come together at butterfly releases and awareness events. These hold the community together. I've sat in think tanks and research meetings where people challenge each other to think differently and to do better. I've worked with teams focused on patient-reported outcomes, tissue research, and understanding not just how people survive, but how they live. But what stays with me most are the everyday moments, the conversations with patients trying to make difficult decisions, the young adults wondering what their future will look like, the families searching for hope, information, and someone who understands, and the caregivers caring more than anyone can see. Here's why this work matters. Over the last 20 years, CERN has helped build more than research collaboration. It has built a community, one that has amplified patient voices, advanced science, and reminded people facing a rare tumor that they are not alone. As we recognize Ependymoma Awareness Day in this milestone anniversary, I'm grateful to everyone who has contributed their time, expertise, advocacy, and heart to this mission. And I remain hopeful for what comes next.
Hi, my name is Leah Cullen. I'm 25 years old. I live in the northeast of England, and when I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with a spinal ependymoma, which led me to find the CERN Foundation as a very useful source of information and support at the time. I am incredibly fortunate enough to be able to say that since the years following my treatment and diagnosis, I have been in remission. However, cancer changed my life in ways I could never have imagined, and following my treatment, I massively struggled with my mental health, with coming to terms with what my new life looked like, and the prospect of being in pain for the rest of my life, as my cancer and treatment left me with chronic pain, disabled, wheelchair and painkiller dependent for the rest of my life. So it was a lot to come to terms to, and it left me in an incredibly dark place for a really long time, and I wasn't quite ever sure I was going to be able to get my way out of that. However, that all massively changed in ways, again, I couldn't have imagined in 2024 when I very unexpectedly found out that my body had done something me and my doctors did not think it was capable of because of the radiotherapy I had to have. I found out I was pregnant with my little girl Aria, who is now a 17-month-old whirlwind and the absolute best thing that has ever happened to me or could ever happen to me. I never thought I would get the opportunity to be a mum, so I really am living my dream life. And we've recently just moved into this beautiful little bungalow together, which is another step I never thought I would get to take. So I really am living the life that I thought cancer had stole from us when I was 13. And it's just taught me that no matter how stuck you feel, no matter how set your limitations feel and your life feels, things can really get better and change in ways you could never have comprehended. Had you taught me even a couple of years ago I would be sat here in my own home with my daughter, I would have laughed in your face and thought it was physically impossible. Yet here I am with my little bundle of joy, and I am the happiest I have ever been, regardless of how bad the pain is. In the years following my diagnosis, I have had a really strong calling to share my story with other people in the hopes that it can help them know that they're not alone and bring some kind of comfort to them in such a dark time, because I really struggled with finding that when I was diagnosed, but CERN were such a big support to me in that time. They were probably the only place that I found for a very long time that had any specific ependymoma information, support, groups, people I could talk to that understood and had gone through the same thing. And it really was a lifeline for me during that time. So I am absolutely honoured to be able to say I've been even a tiny part in the incredible, such important work that they've done over the last 20 years. And I just want to say a huge congratulations on 20 years of amazing work. You really are changing lives, and here's to the next 20 more.
Hi, my name is Rameen and I am from South Africa. I was diagnosed in 2017 with a tumor, ependymoma, inside my spinal cord, and I had surgery in 2018, so almost 8.5 years ago. I'm not going to elaborate too much about my diagnosis, surgery, and recovery, as that is already uploaded on the CERN Foundation website and a few other places. But I was asked to tell you a little bit on where I am today. So I am diagnosed or classified as an incomplete paraplegic. That being said, I live a full life. I drive my own car, which is converted. I enjoy doing art. I even give classes in oil painting, which makes me very happy. So I just wanted to tell you all that I'm living a full life, and even though I have shortcomings, that doesn't prevent me from doing so. My message to everybody out there who is struggling with anything in their life at present, it might be that you're without a job and searching for a job, or it might be that you're facing illness. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, is to just keep moving. If you keep moving, the illness or the joblessness or whatever you are facing cannot keep up with you. And by that I mean, in my circumstances, having an illness, for me, keeping up with it and keeping ahead of it was to learn as much about the illness as I possibly could, and to use that to survive my circumstances and to be the best person within that circumstances and have the best new normal that I could. So that being my message for you all today. And then to the CERN Foundation, thank you so much for 20 years of wonderful work that you've been doing. We really appreciate you, and thank you that I can be part of that. Thank you and goodbye.
Finn here, and we are super happy in some ways to be a part of the ependymoma community. I feel that although this diagnosis is not something that we want for anyone that we love.
My turn. I'm just hiding while playing some dinosaurs and like give a for everything.
Well, because of the research and the funding and the community and all the support that we have, and that our community continues to help us have, Finn gets to be Finn today, diagnosed at 20 months, and here he is at age 7, thriving, living, and being the best that he can possibly be. We met some of our best friends through this community and through this diagnosis, and we've created such a bond with so many people across the board, and the CERN Foundation has allowed us to reach out to doctors and caregivers and mothers and fathers and other kiddos dealing with the same thing, to just help what we go through a little bit easier. Go ahead, Finn.
I do the goal and I just do my homework.
And he does. And he does it so well. Well, thank you so much. We're just so happy to be a part of this community. Say thank you, Finn.
Thank you.
My name is Taylor Stover, and I am from Ohio. I have battled ependymoma twice in the last 9 years of my life. I was first diagnosed with grade 2 maxillary endopneumoma in 2018 at the age of 20. After my diagnosis and having surgery, I was told the chances of it coming back were less than 1%. I unfortunately fell into that category of the less than 1% and relapsed 3 years later in 2021 with the same diagnosis of maxillary ependymoma. The second time around, the diagnosis definitely felt much heavier. I was having symptoms for about a year and a half prior to that second diagnosis. We were with teams in and out of Ohio trying to figure out if it was ependymoma again or if it was something different. And that's when we stumbled upon the CERN Foundation, who I'm forever grateful for. I will never forget the phone conversation I had with where I was that day. I just remember being mentally, physically, and emotionally drained, with not much left. And she instilled so much hope. Within a couple hours, she had multiple teams all over the country that were willing to see me within a couple of days. And she helped me get the care that I needed. And 5 years later, I have now been ependymoma free, which is an incredible win with battling ependymoma. And through this community, I have learned so much. I have connected with so many people who have gone through similar, whether it's, a tumor in their brain or somewhere different in their spinal cord. They've walked this similar journey with me, and they not only hear me, but they understand me, and it has been so incredible. I do not have enough good things to say about this foundation, and I am so grateful for it, and an incredible milestone of 20 years celebrating this phenomenal foundation and being a part of it the last 5 years.
Greetings from Melbourne, Australia. My name is Kim Walk and I'm the Head of Research at the Robert Connor Dawes Foundation. On behalf of my CEO Liz Dawes and our whole foundation, I'd like to warmly congratulate CERN on its 20th anniversary. Thank you so much for all the fantastic work that you do and what you contribute to this field. On Ependymoma Day, it's so important to raise awareness of this rare disease. Increased awareness helps lead to increased and early diagnosis, better treatments, and also access to treatments and supports. It also can help with advocacy and policy changes, but most importantly, it also is going to help increase research and research funding. This, we hope, is going to help improve the situation overall, finding better treatments, more gentler and safer treatments for our children that are affected with ependymoma. As well as raising awareness, and in terms of research, it's critical that we work together globally as a community, a research community, as well as a support and advocacy community. And along those lines, the Robert Connor Dawes Foundation has partnered with CERN for a number of years now to make available the CERN RCD Scientific Fellowship. And we are so proud of the fellows that have been through the program. They have done some amazing work and gone on to have some incredible careers. In particular, the 2024 CERN RCD Scientific Fellow was based in Australia and worked on part of a project that was larger in nature, working towards an mRNA vaccine trial against ependymoma. It was critical, the work that the fellow did, that has enabled and contributed to getting the vaccine trial ready, and it will be opening soon for recurrent ependymoma in Australia. This is just a great example of how we can work across different sides of the world to produce results and slowly move the field forward. We all hope that one day that our children would not have to go through what they're currently going through with ependymoma. But the only way to do this is to join together with all our efforts on a global stage and try and move the dial as quickly as possible.
Hello, my name is Stephen Mack. I want to say thanks to the National Brain Tumor Society and CERN for their support of our research on ependymoma. Our lab really focuses on understanding the basic biological and genetic mechanisms that drive these brain tumors in children called ependymoma, in hopes of identifying novel therapeutics that we can translate for these patients.
I'm grateful for the fellowship from CERN, which is supporting my research in developing new therapeutic strategies for pediatric ependymoma patients who haven't had new therapies in the last 2 decades. Congrats to CERN on 20 years of supporting ependymoma research.
My project in the lab focuses on identifying strategies to making radiotherapy more effective in pediatric ependymoma patients. My work is funded by NBTS and supported by the DDRC, and those collaborations have proved invaluable to driving forward this research. Congratulations to CERN for 20 years of supporting ependymoma research.
I'm Christopher Valentine. I'm 16 and I am a brain cancer survivor. When I was around 12, I got diagnosed with brain cancer. I would have headaches and then my right hand would tingle. My mom had me write down, what day I had it and what time, so we know what's happening. After I was diagnosed, I was in the hospital for around 2 or 3 days, and then I went into surgery. It took, I think, 12 to 16 hours in the surgery, and then after that, I was in the hospital for another 5 days, and then I could come home. And then for the second recurrence, the time was smaller. It was not as big. And then the smallest resection, which was the third time, it was smaller. So I did have radiation twice. When I first had radiation, it was in Cincinnati. The radiation, there wasn't really, it wasn't that bad. I would just lay down for a couple of minutes and then I would stand up, and it was pretty easy. I don't think there was any pain or nausea or any of that. But when I had chemo, I was definitely more tired, and yeah, I guess that was really the worst of it. For me, the whole right side of my body is kind of a little messed up. My PT and OT, honestly, they're like siblings to me because they don't really treat me like a patient. They treat me like a human. Most people, they try not to notice me or, stuff like that. I had 2 ideas in mind for what job I want to do, and one of them is a mechanical engineer. The other one is occupational therapy. What I hope to do is to go to college for that. A big win was getting my driver's license, which I took the test. I passed with like flying colors. I walked up and I was holding my picture and all of that, and I was like, I did it. That was me. That made me feel so happy. I see my parents and they'll be like, Chris, you're looking even better than 2 months ago. And I'm like, I obviously don't really notice it because, you know, it's small parts over time, but like they can notice. So I would say my parents definitely keep me up. It is pretty unfortunate, but I'm going through it, and you know, like I'm just gonna try and get through this. My biggest goal, I guess, would to my whole right side of my body would work again, like even my fingers and my toes, because that's the smallest stuff and it's definitely the hardest part. I'm definitely a more quiet kid, but I try to be a kind person to everyone. They might have a bad day or something, and I was just like, you're okay. Like, it's just one day. Take a break, and then you got tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day.
For another kid who will get a diagnosis like yours, what would you say to them?
Keep going. It's not gonna take up your whole life. Even if it's a long part of your time, keep going. And, you know, just day by day, you gotta do it to get better.